And the chair moves House File 1944 be re-referred to the Committee on Ways and Means with the chair's intent to lay over for possible inclusion in an omnibus or further action at a later date. Representative Nash.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members, good afternoon. This is a bill that you have seen before. I was before you last year. This is the bill that we called VPSEO. And because Chair Davids gave me a big frowny face about the tax credit in it, we have brought it back here to the committee to make a pilot program and a direct appropriation for a school that is really teed up and ready to go to act on these things. So if you remember, the VPSEO concept is very simple. It is that there are kids in high school who know now that they're not going to go to college and they would like to take advantage of a job in some trade. It could be building trades, it could be CNC shop, it could be in cybersecurity. That would make me very happy. But those kids need to be exposed to those things early on, and it is the intent of this bill to expose kids, perhaps like my own son David, who is now a hospital corpsman in the Navy, knew he wanted to be in the medical field but really had nothing that could give him an on-ramp in high school. So we were hopeful that this bill could do something very much like that. So the amendment that I would also need to move, Madam Chair.
Okay, and the chair moves H1944DE5, author's amendment. All those approved?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? All righty. Then amendment approved.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was a resounding vote of approval.
That was
So I do thank you for moving the amendment. And if you look at the amendment, a pilot program would be created in School District 110, which is Waconia, where I live. It is to do just that, a pilot program, a one-off, because we couldn't achieve the larger funding that we were hoping to do last year. But it is a fairly prescribed amount of money, and it is for a school district that has a lot of this groundwork already laid. So with me, I have some representatives of District 110. I have the superintendent, and then I have a person who is joining us, Christine Fenner, that is here on behalf of the school, who is already doing these sorts of relationship buildings right now in the district. And lastly, I wanted to thank many of you who have signed on to this bill. Representative Slocum has been a big supporter of this. I appreciate that. Many of you were also on the bill. So I will now shut up and let the testifiers talk as well.
all right. Whoever would like to start, please state your name for the record.
Hi, Pat Devine, Superintendent of Waconia Public Schools, ISD 110. Thank you for having me, all of you here today. Just want to talk a little bit about kind of our path to be at this spot. This is my 4th year as a superintendent of Waconia Public Schools, and wasn't much longer in the first year of my career there, 4 years ago, that Jim and I met, and we got talking about how can we bring more trades into the school, more partnerships with manufacturers. As you well know, we, as a state, do a really nice job of getting kids ready for post-secondary, mainly four-year college, and Waconia is no different than that. We do a really nice job of that. We have about 85% of our kids go to a four-year college. But we're missing many students that could do vocational, and they don't even know that vocational careers is a great option. And early on, 3 years ago, I met with all the manufacturers in town and says, tell me if there, how much is there a need? I hear there's a need. And obviously, you all know that there's an overwhelming need for the labor force and for the industries. And so we started partnering 3 years ago. We started looking at how can we bring Anoka Hennepin in, do college courses with us? How can we maybe do courses in their facilities? We've set up a lot of the groundwork to make this happen. What we're short on is to have the financing to make it come to fruition. And that's where we have fallen short. Us, like many districts, we're deficit spending, and we don't have a lot of extra money to start new programs. We have the groundwork for it. We have the desire for it. We have the passion for it from the industries and from the school. We just need time to be able to build our curriculums together, find facilities that are willing to have us go out and learn in the authentic learning spaces, and to make this happen with somebody that can coordinate it all with transportation, with curriculum building. We've been working with the chamber. The chamber's been really gracious with us. They've used Winona and us as two school districts. They would like to help out, but they can't help finance more than transportation and paperwork and maybe some promotional things. They can't do anything with personnel and financing of staffing. So that's where we've fallen short. So we have a great passion. We've laid the groundwork and we're ready to go. We're just real hopeful that we can be kind of the first pilot that shows how well this can work, and then other districts can emulate it across the state.
Thank you. As another testifier, please state your name for the record and begin.
Sure, I'm Christine Fenner. I'm with Waconia Schools. So what we're doing right now is just bringing everyone together. So we're bringing business owners, teachers, administration. Like Mr. Devine said, we're bringing the Chamber of Commerce involved as well, and we're looking at different authentic learning experiences for the students. We're identifying realistic ways to create new opportunities for students, and like Mr. Nash said as well, to really partner with those businesses. So funding of this program would just really allow us to continue to build the curriculum and to meet those industry needs. And then, of course, we'd want to share and support and promote other districts and schools across the state of Minnesota and share with them what worked well, and be honest and say what didn't work well, and so other schools could do this in the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Representative Nash?
Madam Chair, I believe there were a few other testifiers that we're going to.
Is there anybody else who'd like to testify for House File 1944 as amended?
And Madam Chair, as they are settling in, I want to make sure that this is being laid over in this committee. It's not being sent on to taxes as was previously stated.
That is correct.
Okay,
yes.
just want to make sure.
All right. All right, whoever'd like to start, please state your name for the record and begin.
Madam Chair, members, my name is Dave Siegel. I'm the Executive Director for Batsy Housing First Minnesota. We represent about 1,300 builders, remodelers, trade partners, subcontractors. We're having our big trade show this afternoon, so I have to leave after this to go to that activity. The number one thing that our members talk to us about in every meeting I'm at, in every circumstance I'm involved in, is labor. It is the single biggest challenge that our industry faces right now. And we are to the point now where the lack of skilled trades is actually hurting Minnesota's economy and hurting our ability to build homes and commercial facilities as the state needs. And in fact, we're looking at some bonding and we're looking at some federal infrastructure dollars that are going to exacerbate that problem. So I'm here in support of this initiative, frankly in support of virtually any initiative, and I think this is a terrific one that can potentially expose young people to skilled trades. So briefly, thank you for bringing this, Representative Nash. I think this is a terrific idea, and we stand at the ready to support it and participate and cooperate in any way that we can to make this a successful reality.
Thank you. Next testifier.
Hi, Amy Wallstein. I'm with the Minnesota Precision Manufacturers Association, and I too want to echo what Mr. Segal said about thanking Representative Nash for bringing this issue forward. What we hear in the manufacturing industry is very similar to what they're hearing in the construction industry, that this is the number one issue right now for manufacturers, is finding skilled work to work in their industry. And manufacturers are ready, willing, and able to help get the next generation trained. And so what we have kind of seen as the need is to help high schools build programs and work with the technical colleges. We see VPSEO as the bridge between high school technical programs, career and technical programs, and the college post-secondary technical programs. So the more that we're able to do to help those institutions work together and create programs for students, we think that's a great step forward in modernizing technical education and getting more students into skilled industries. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Well, go ahead, Mr. Lindell.
Yeah. Madam Chair, members of the committee, Brad Lundell with Schools for Equity and Education. Just very, very briefly, We really want to thank Representative Nash for coming forward with this bill. I think one of the things, the challenges that many of the districts that I work with have is creating that broad range of opportunities for children, for students, especially at the secondary level. And I think that what Representative Nash is doing here, and this can probably serve as a hub, I guess, for trying to find ways to create more technical education, but also then give those students that are ready to take that next step in their education the opportunity to do so. So again, we really enjoy work. We've testified in favor of this bill at several junctures, and we certainly our strong support remains. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Peterson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Nash, for bringing this bill forward. And I just wanted to reach out to all the stakeholders that also testified to please continue to reach out to your local chambers and your school districts, because of, this is something that's important for every school community. But thank you.
Representative Marquardt.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Nash, for bringing this forward. I would suggest we go even further. Representative Plowski had a bill heard in higher education that I think was sent to this committee yesterday that would merge technical colleges back into the high schools, with the idea that every high school graduate should have a skill set available that matches the current job economy. And what you would see is those students staying in their local communities, staying within the state. And as I heard from the testifiers, the number one concern I'm hearing is from these various employers who are looking for electricians and welders and nurses and contractors and plumbers. And it's a real shortage out there. And so I think this might be a way to go. I was touring a place in Detroit Lakes, Lake Shirts. They print all these T-shirts. In fact, they were doing them for the NCAA tournament, and it started in the basement. There's two guys from Detroit Lakes who started this business, and they started by using ovens in their parents' basement that they would print on, and now it's a $26 million operation. But they employ, in Detroit Lakes, 40 graphic artists to design their T-shirts. Who would have known? And so, I mean, but, the fact that basically if someone could be trained in that, they would, almost have a job immediately, and so this is the way to go. I almost think the model we're seeing in this school district is statewide, and I think we need to, I like Representative Pulowski's idea of bringing that together. I mean, it would be a benefit to students to have a skill set, would help employers fit these job needs, and it would save a lot of money for students and parents in the long run. So thank you very much.
Representative Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as you know, Representative Nash, I really like this proposal too.
You're an author.
What I'm wondering though, and I guess I'd ask Superintendent Devine this question, if you would come back to the table. We already have in statute a number of provisions that would allow this to go forward. So I'm wondering, to what extent is it that you need the $250,000 to jumpstart this?
So I'd say a few things. Madam Chair, thank you for the question, and I'd say a couple, and Representative Erickson, thank you. I would say a couple things that strike out immediately, because we did propose this to our students in the last 2 years. We find is that, and if I would poll this whole room and say, of all of you that have students coming through school or have gone to college, how many thought my kid's going to college? And most of you would say, yep, they're going to four-year college. Our parents and our students don't see this as a pathway. They don't see that there's a career path that can be really, really good for them in the manufacturing or the labor industry. Where we need is promotional material, and then people that can coordinate to bring people to our school and for us to get out into the industry. Our educators in our industrial tech program do a wonderful job, and we're offering really good courses that can bring experiences to our students. But the authentic learning piece is what we're missing, and that's where this partnership really comes in. And we don't have that in our staffing base right now. and that would be the additional needs that we would have.
So, Madam Chair.
Representative Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I have visited Bloomington's program, and I know they didn't get any money from the state to jumpstart their relationship with Dakota Tech, and they have a program much like what you have described in, or Representative Nash has described in his delete all here. So it seems to me that you could begin this relationship without the $250,000, and perhaps next year we will launch into Representative Pulowski's idea of rejoining technical colleges to our E-12 system. But in the meantime, I think there are ways, and you certainly could use 124D.4535, which is innovative delivery, as a stepping stone if you think you need statutory support. But I think it's possible for you to start this without, depending on how badly you need the money, but you could start it without that, considering the fact that you can find, I think, I don't know if Dakota's any closer to you than Hennepin, or I know Ridgewater would be a little distance. I just want to encourage you to launch this without having to expect the $250,000, because we are wanting our school districts to get involved in these relationships with community colleges, technical colleges, and with industry. And, I'm not sure we're going to be able to jumpstart every program that wants to begin as long as we have the ability in statute already. And I believe Representative Peterson also had a proposal last year that's in law that would also allow this to begin. So that's just a thought, as far as I read the statute, that you could start it if you aren't, in absolute need of the $250,000. Thank you.
Okay, Representative Dabney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Representative Nash, I actually appreciate this article by Ms. Kirsten and agree with it. So in the case of Ms. Kirsten's, even a blind pig finds an acorn once in a while, and she seems to have found one. I am wondering on line 1.18 of your bill, or actually of the amendment, to be clear. I'll give you a minute. You exempt this proposed pilot from 124D.09. And if you want to phone a friend, that's fine. There she is.
So phoned.
What are you exempting, Ms. Wallstein? What is he exempting them from, and why?
Ms. Wallstein.
Thank you for the question, Madam Chair, Representative Dabney, and also to Representative Chair Erickson's remarks on why this piece of legislation and why there's some of where's this interaction with PSEO coming from. As we've been out talking to schools, both at the K-12 side and post-secondary, we've heard that they need a little bit more freedom to be able to collaborate with each other. There's some licensure things that get in the way to staff concurrent enrollment, dual enrollment, PSEO courses. We think that the new teacher licensure system is going to make a big difference with that, but there are still some things on the secondary side that can be problematic for staffing dual enrollment courses. So we wanted to give the pilot program a little bit of ability to breathe and to be able to innovate and find some ways to staff this with both post-secondary, high school, kind of a mentor-mentee relationship.
Representative Dabney.
So last year in working through the tiered licensure piece, I was one who was an advocate for not requiring baccalaureate degrees for CT teachers because of the hurdles that presented. But I'm also, this is a dual enrollment proposal. How does the Higher Learning Commission's requirements about 18, how do their requirements work, and how do we make sure that a student who actually does this or something like this gets the college credit that they think they're getting when they're in the program? I'm not understanding the interaction here.
Ms. Wallstein.
So, Madam Chair and Representative Dabney, part of what we've heard as we've been exploring this concept is that what used to be in practice under, we hear it referred to as Criteria 3 or Rule 3, and it's in kind of post-secondary. I don't know that it's a higher ed learning commission or if it's a Min-State
Somebody.
piece, but it's this Rule 3, right? And that where it used to be that there could be a mentor-mentee relationship for a concurrent enrollment class, that has become very challenging for school districts and technical schools to put that relationship together. So the concept that we're bringing forward today is a pilot outside of PSEO that allows more flexibility and innovation just for this district to try some things out so that we can kind of move this idea forward and get to a relationship where there's either like a co-teaching or mentor-mentee relationship.
Representative Dabney?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And challenging, and you might be onto something here. I guess hearing Chair Erickson's comments as well, I mean, this is the second day in a row where we've had a district come in and say, we want reimbursement under the dual enrollment statute for these classes, but we want more. And I understand you want more, but we're still only funding dual enrollment courses at 30% of the statutory amount. And if we actually fully funded dual enrollment, you'd have more than enough money to do this. And Waconia could do it, and Worthington could do it, and Wabasso could do it, and Warroad could do it, and instead of having one pilot, and you folks may do great stuff here, but one is not a pilot. One is a spiff. One is a little, something in the pocket because we like you. A pilot is a half a dozen sites across the state that can then get together in 2 years and say, what worked for you, what didn't work for me, and what are the lessons learned? I think I'd rather see us actually build opportunities across the state by fully funding PSEO or dual enrollment. And Representative Nash, I gave the same speech yesterday. Nothing personal.
Big shoulders.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Representative Slocum, that last question then.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I love it when the ed biz has to rotate a little bit and come back to vocational ed. It makes me ecstatically happy. I have long supported vocational ed, as Representative Nash knows. And the ed biz is very cyclical, accent on sick. It goes in a circle, and it always owns back to something that we've already done. This is wonderful. I want Bloomington, that did it because they saw a need and just did it. I'd like them to have $250,000. And Richfield is not far behind. They need that too. So I do agree with Representative Dabney about expanding, but I love this. And kids, we all, for years, all we could talk about is kids have to go to four-year college. That is just not the case, never has been, never will be. And this addresses that in a really positive way that gives kids an opportunity to learn a marketable living wage skill. Yay. Thank you.
All right, Representative Nash,
Yep.
comments and then final.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. As I said when I first began, there's a lot of people both in my district and one kid that is related to me, he's my son, that has said, I didn't see a way for me to enter the job program that I wanted to. My son, Representative Dabney, you came in late. My son is a hospital corpsman in the Navy right now. He didn't see anything at 110 that could give him that on-ramp. So he went and took care of it himself. But he said, Dad, there was nothing that existed for me to be exposed to that. Nothing. I went to high school with a kid that took every shop class available, and we all wondered, what are you doing with your life? He now owns a multi-million-dollar earth-moving company. And like Representative Slocum said, we've got to get kids introduced to this. I took tours during the interim in my district, and every single one of them said the same thing. I can't hire enough people. I can't find access to kids, even though they want to learn. Help us. So here we are, and I'm trying my level best. And Representative Marquardt, I'd be happy to merge schools back together. And Representative Dabney, if we could give them all a pile of money, that's great. I tried that last year, and it didn't work. So here we are, we're trying to pare it back to do something that we can all learn from and point to and say, here's what worked, here's what didn't work. And with that, Madam Chair, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Representative Nash, excuse me. The chair lays over House File 1944 as amended for possible inclusion or further action at a later date.